Both Lebanon and Syria took part in the war in 1948 after Israel declared its independence on the side of the allegiance of Arab states. Only Syria joined the war in 1967 disastrously. Israel captured the Golan Heights from Syria and later in 1981 annexed them. The heights would remain a bone of contention between the two countries. The plateau was the scene of fierce fighting between Israel and Syria in 1973 as Syrian forces tried to recapture it. In the 1990s, the first high-level public talks between Israel and Syria took place. In 1999, Israeli Prime Minister at the time, Ehud Barak, met with the Syrian Foreign Minister Farouk al-Shara and U.S. President Bill Clinton in the U.S. without achieving any results.
Israel was not ready to give up the entire Golan Heights as Syria demanded. I think that, if you compare it to the Israeli-Egyptian negotiations, in that case, where the two leaders, Sadat and Begin, took decision to make peace, while in our case, the Syrian leaders, the Israeli leaders, took a decision to explore the opportunity.
Syria at present is involved in a more than a decade-long civil war. The shattered country is believed to be used by Iran as a pipeline to smuggle weapons to its proxies in the region. Israel regularly attacks targets in Syria, although it does not officially comment or take responsibility.
Till now, there was no any retaliation. Now, Israel did well by monitoring the Iranian activity in Syria and by blocking any Iranian efforts to establish itself in Syria. If it wouldn't have attacked on Syrian soil, we would have now have, Iranian aircrafts, air defense systems deployed in Syria. This is not the case.
Iran poses a major threat to Israel also through its number one proxy, Hezbollah, in Lebanon. But the enmity between Israel and Lebanon predates Hezbollah's establishment. Up until the 1970s, Lebanon was one of the calmest fronts for Israel. Then the Palestine Liberation Organization fled from Jordan to southern Lebanon, a country in the middle of a sectarian civil war. After a spate of cross-border attacks carried out by Palestinian militias, including the firing of Katyusha rockets, Israel invaded Lebanon. The Israeli invasion to Lebanon in June 1982 was defined by the Prime Minister at the time, Menachem Begin, as the first time Israel fought a war of choice. The IDF reached Beirut and besieged the capital for 2 months, and the PLO and its leader Yasser Arafat were forced to leave the city late August to Tunisia. The Israeli army did not retreat at first, what caused a split in the Israeli society.
We wanted, as we said at the time, to cut the head of the snake with the PLO, and we just failed to understand that after achieving what we had achieved in the first 2 weeks of the war, we had to retreat, to withdraw from Lebanon. This was the problem. Misunderstanding that Lebanon is not the place to be.
Israel formed alliances with Christian militias but underestimated the power dynamics in Lebanon and the political power of the Shiite Muslims. One of the most significant events of the war was the massacre in the refugee camps in Sawra and Shatila in September, where Israel's Christian allies from the Lebanese front killed up to 3,500 civilians in an act of revenge to the assassination of their leader, Bashir Jumail, the Christian Lebanese president.
Even today, I ask myself, why did the Phalange go into the Sawra and Shatila camps and kill Palestinians? The Israeli army was surrounding the camps, and it falls under its responsibility.
Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin resigned in 1983 as the events of Lebanon put a strain on him and his political position. 2 years later, Israel retreated to a security belt that it formed in South Lebanon, and it took another 15 years until it finally withdrew. But meanwhile, Hezbollah had emerged.
Instead of saying, okay, gentlemen, we understood, the PLO is in Tunis now, bye-bye, this is it. Now you just govern your state as you know it better than us. We go back. This would not have created Hezbollah as it is today.
By 2006, Hezbollah had increased its attacks, fired rockets into Israeli territory, and in July kidnapped and killed 2 soldiers in a border ambush. What followed was the Second Lebanese War, lasting 34 days, sparking heavy fighting with hundreds of civilians killed on both sides and without clear winners. An Israeli withdrawal was negotiated and international peacekeepers stationed along the border, maintaining tense calm. After the explosion at the port in Beirut in 2020, the Tel Aviv municipality displayed a large Lebanese flag on its building as a sign of solidarity. Then, in 2021, the first diplomatic agreement, despite having no diplomatic relations. A deal on the maritime borders and gas fields of the two countries was signed on two different papers with the help of American negotiations. By no means did it bring the two countries closer together. Hezbollah and its ties to Iran remain to be a threat to Israel. Peace or reapproachment is not on the horizon, not with Syria nor with Lebanon. Instead, tensions are on the rise and Iran is active in both countries, eyeing Israel from close up.